Hello and what is up, my friends? It's Thunder Bob here, and tonight I'm going to be doing some more Diablo IV beta testing. Playing my Necromancer. My previous video was a 2-hour playthrough of the main Act 1 story mission, and then tonight I'm going to be spending some time leveling up. My goal is to get to 20, but I do want to show you like my gear and my skills I'm using, and just briefly my thoughts on the class. The Necromancer, I think, is by far the best class in the beta. I think they're slightly over-tuned, to be honest. I think like the Source and the Rogue is maybe like the more middle ground. Source is also really good and arguably maybe over-tuned as well. I think the Druid and the Barbarian could probably use a little bit of work. But basically, from level 1 to I'm level 18 right now, I have not had any issues. Watch the previous video and you can just see me ripping through all of the story content. And tonight we're going to be looking at my build. And I just got a skill point I haven't spent yet, but I'm going to show you like kind of the main skills I've been using. Bone Splinters is my generator. It's nice. It shoots out 3 bone splinters. It also can cause vulnerable. Has a chance to fire 2 additional projectiles. Just a cool spell. This is my powerhouse. Blood Surge is by far my favorite skill as far as like power goes, and it's just a cool ability. Like when you draw blood from enemies, that initial, it's so cool to see it like pulling across the screen, and it covers practically the entire screen. It's crazy the range on it, and this is really what made leveling so easy, because I didn't even need the Nova. That initial damage that covered the whole screen killed almost everything. And then the Nova does crazy damage, and I've got a legendary that makes it fire a second Nova. So this is doing, like, at level 18, this skill is doing almost as much damage as my level 25 all legendaries, Sorcerer, Frozen Orb. I know my Sorcerer also has Hydras, but, you know, the Necromancer has 12. I have 12 skeletons right now. I've got legendaries that give me additional warriors and mages. So I've got 12 skeletons going. But this is the main powerhouse in my opinion. We'll get down to Corpse Explosion. For the most part, you could do like 1 Blood Surge. You kill most of the enemies. And then you could just spam Corpse Explosion. There's no cooldown on it. There's no mana, energy cost. Pretty much you just blow up the whole screen. As long as there's corpses, you can keep going, just like in Diablo 2. And the fact that there's no mana is even more ridiculous. I was kind of messing around with Blood Mist. It's just a good, like, get you immunity for a few seconds ability. Nothing amazing. I tried to Crepify. Honestly, I'm killing things so fast, it's just not very necessary. I feel like maybe late game, when things are lasting longer and things are dealing more damage, to Crepify and or Iron Maiden with some of these other augmenting skills might be more useful. It's just kind of a waste at this stage. I came down and I tried both of these, and honestly, they're kind of boring. Like, Corpse Tendrils, you know, it does very little damage, requires a corpse, it's got a long cooldown. The stun is nice, but it's really unnecessary at this stage. Maybe endgame when things are doing more damage and the stun actually is more useful. And Bone Spirit, it does less damage than my Blood Surge, and it costs all of my essence to do that. And it's got an 11-second cooldown. It's complete garbage. I can't figure out how to make this part of the tree work. And I didn't get down to the ultimates yet, but honestly, the ultimates have for the most part been lackluster for the long cooldowns. They just are not that big of game changers. I really think they should have a extra skill slot specifically for ultimates. I think that's the only way most people are going to end up using the ultimates. So that is the skills I'm using. Just to quickly show you, I've got mostly legendaries, not all legendaries. This cool helm, which actually has the same legendary power as this, so I'm not actually getting the benefit, but it's just a cool looking helm that dropped for me. You got Vigo's Amulet, of course, from the main story, just a rare here with a couple of gems in it. This is giving me 2 extra mages, rare pants. This gives me 2 extra warriors. This is probably the best item for this build. It makes your Blood Surge Nova echo a second time. It does less damage, but that doesn't really matter because it's already doing a crazy amount of damage. I think this is adding like an extra 100. And since it's a one-hand, I've also got an offhand. This is not doing a great deal for me because I don't play with a lot of barriers, but if I did, I would think this would make a big benefit. So like I should probably be trying to make more barrier gameplay go on here, but yeah. And then thorns, I'm not really playing much with thorns, but if I was, this would be more useful. I did also just want to mention one other thing about Blood Surge, why it's so awesome. So it does crazy damage. It also heals you for 2.5% of your max life. It also fortifies you, which will reduce damage you take by 10%. Yeah, it's just all around awesome. You'll see as I'm casting it, like the fortify is building up. My life is just constantly getting refilled by it. It's doing crazy damage. Yeah, this is an amazing class, amazing build. It's probably a little overtuned. I hope they don't end up nerfing it too much. If anything, I kind of hope they raise up the Druid and the Barbarian just a little bit and maybe just nerf, you know, a small percentage here, and that might be enough, but, you know, we'll have to see. And then, of course, the skeletons are a big part of it here. The Book of the Dead lets you augment these. I've just been using the skirmishers. These guys seem to attack way too slowly. I'm going mostly offensive. Maybe later the defensive is more beneficial. It didn't really seem beneficial to me right now. And then I got just down to mages. I actually just unlocked hold, so I haven't even really had time to play around with them. I've just been using these basic ones that have a chance to stun. So yeah, that's the full build. We're going to be going through a couple of dungeons tonight. I'm not going to be doing many quests. It's all just I wanted to check out some of the dungeons I skipped on my Sorceress playthrough. And yeah, we'll just jump right into that gameplay. We are going to check out some of the dungeons that I missed through my Sorcerer playthrough. And this dungeon, it looks pretty cool. It's like this wet, dark, dank cave with moss growing everywhere. I love the sound design. The slopping of like the ground under your feet and everything. Oh, what was that? And the Necromancer is still just incredibly overpowered. I'm running around using this Blood Surge and like literally I don't even need to worry about my main thing because my energy comes back fast enough. I just draw as many guys to me. I need more essence. And just let them die from the Blood Surge, and then I get a barrier and like it heals me and then when that runs out, I just use Corpse Explosion. Yeah. Just incredible build combination here. I collect this essence, I guess. Ooh. Well, looking for an SOJ. I don't know if they drop or not. You'll deal 35% increased shadow damage to enemies afflicted by both Recrucify and Iron Maiden. Well, I'm not really using curses. I'm also using primarily physical damage. So that really doesn't help me too much. So I wonder if the stats on it might be worthwhile. Let's see. So 5% damage to distant enemies. I'm mostly doing up close damage though. 2% critical strike chance, maximum life, 3% damage to crowd control. I actually think that 5% damage to close enemies is maybe better on that rare, because like this is mostly how I'm playing. Because I do a little bit of damage to distant enemies with this Blood Surge, like you see how that sucked the blood out of them. But the majority of that damage is actually from the secondary explosions. And I get a second explosion, of course, from this imprint on here. The second explosion does not do anywhere near as much damage as the first, though. My skeletons just never die also. Like, oh, so this is what I'm getting the energy to open. Okay. Okay, deposit animus into the urn, which looks like it's over here. Then I should fight a boss. Ooh, I got skeleton mages now. Shadow mages attacks have 10% chance to stun. For 2 seconds, this cannot happen on the same enemy more than once every 5 seconds. Shadow mages fire an additional shadow bolt every 6th attack. Or I could just not use any, and your maximum essence is increased by 15. No longer raise skillful mated. So wait a minute, do I get... Wait. Okay, I did not realize that was how it was going to work. I get even more skeletons. How many do I get? Does it say how many I can have? Oh, I get a golem too? Okay, I can have 3 mages, I can have 7 warriors. I can have 10 skeletons right now. That's pretty cool. I thought the big boss was going to be right here. This is a different dungeon. Like I didn't run into this one at all on my source, but I like the layout here. It's a little bit different, so you're like collecting, you know, like a resource, energy to open that gate. It's a little bit different mechanic. But overall, from what I played, I think the Necro is probably maybe a little overtuned. I mean, I haven't played all the way to 25 yet. I'm probably only get up to maybe 20. I kind of want to try out all the classes up to like 15 or 20. So I got my source up to 25, of course, but I just, I've only got so many hours to play, and I'm not going to be able to play it tomorrow at all. This is Saturday night when I'm playing also.
Wouldn't have made it without you.
So enemies afflicted by your Iron Maiden have a 23% chance to be stunned. I think the one that gives me extra skeletons is better. We're gonna keep that. But you don't actually get to, like, pick which skeleton you're raising. I wonder, like, if you have no skeletons, what the order is. It's weird that, like, these skeletons don't take any skill points. Like, it's probably, like, the best, like, base class ability I've seen so far. Like, the source has, like, the enhancement system, enchantment system, whatever it's called. But, like, you straight up just get, like, skills here that are just awesome. A lot of these are splendid chests in here.
You're a saint.
This is a cool, really cool dungeon. Like, in my previous video, I'd kind of commented that I felt like the dungeons were a little too samey, and like they were all like run down a big corridor, and then you find the boss room. You have to go left to like unlock it, to hit a lever to collect some, you know, something of some kind, return back, and then rinse, repeat. Like, almost every dungeon's followed that same formula. But this really feels completely different. And freeing the prisoners, it's a cool mechanic. Even though these guys are mostly dead already. Oh, wait, did I miss? I missed two over there? Was there more than one? Am I blind? I just have to do one blood surge and at least something dies every time. Usually many things. And then I corpse explosion and like the encounter's over. That's all it takes. Skeletons mop up the rest. You don't need to use this thing really. Can I disable it? Yeah, if you hit 3 again it turns off. That's nice to know. I got this curse, which just kind of unnecessary. Like, I'll probably, when I get to the ultimate or the next tier, I'll put it there. Alright, dungeon complete. I get an aspect of piercing cold. What's that? Ice shards pierces 3 times, dealing 25% less damage per subsequent enemy hit. Sorcerer. Oh. That's cool. I didn't realize... So I got that on a drop, but that's actually... I think that's just an aspect you can use, right? I mean, I already had it. I didn't even realize it. Alright. Well, that's the end of this dungeon. Alright, we're gonna check out the Forsaken Quarry. Slay all enemies in the deserted... Ate it? I didn't know that was a word. And I'm now rocking 12 skeletons at the same time because I've got 2 different legendary items that are giving me additional skeletons. That's really, really badass. And that thing is like just fortifying me as I cast it. Like, makes me much more, I think, hardy. Man, look at that. Corpse explosion is so ridiculous too. Like, watch, all I gotta do is one thing dies, and you can just like corpse explosion across the room. That's gnarly, look at that. They definitely brought back a lot of the horror aspects from Diablo 2. Oh, you gotta free the prisoner. Oh, so this is just like the mechanics of that last dungeon. I hadn't run into these particular types of dungeons. Corpse explosion is just ridiculous, just like it was in Diablo 2. I missed the prisoner back there?
You're a saint.
Level 16.
Bless you.
Oh, it's because it's just a skeleton. Or are you like releasing his spirit? Pretty sure I've only had skeletons die like one time. There was a guy in one of the quests that just like for whatever reason seemed to be doing crazy amounts of damage. And he one-shot me.
Bless you.
And I get the greasy key. is this? Fully fortified right now. I'm not even completely sure how fortify works. You know what? I got skill points I haven't even used. So that's maxed. I can come down and I could try out one of these, I think, at one point. Somewhere up here. I'm not even using that one. Already got that maxed out. I guess start pumping that, and now I can come down here and play with these two. I really haven't looked closely enough at these other. While below 50% life, you receive 10% more healing. Your bone skills have a 5% increased critical chance for each 10 essence you have upon cast. Damaging enemies with darkness skill. I'm using mostly physical. I don't want to try both of these. Start here. I'm going to replace the curse, which I don't really need with that one. And that has a cooldown. Veins burst out of a corpse, pulling enemies, stunning them for 3 seconds, and dealing not that much damage. So you need a corpse, though. I feel like just, like, why would I do this when I can do corpse explosion?
I need more time.
I mean, it looks really cool, but it feels like entirely like unnecessary with the way I'm playing. Like maybe at the high end, when things take a lot more to kill, it would make sense. Like I did it there and I couldn't even tell what was happening. Alright, there it is. So that's all it does, is it like Veins versus a corpse, pulling an enemy, stunning them for 3 seconds, and dealing 65 to 79 damage. That's terrible. 10-second cooldown. I guess like late game, maybe stunning is like really powerful. Like, you know, when let's say in the harder difficulties you get to the point where things are like able to one-shot you. I think in that case, like it might make sense. With this many skeletons, he's basically just trapped. That was, yeah, ridiculously easy still. Oh, that's another dungeon down. I got aspect of encircling blades. Blurry, okay, it's a rogue one. I don't really. At the moment, I'm just looking at the Necro stuff. Alright, we'll jump to another dungeon. Alright, so we are in the Forbidden City. This is another dungeon. It's right up here. And it seems to use like the same tile set as the end of Act 1 does, like Rathma's Lair, or whatever that place is called. I thought that was going to be like kind of a unique area just for that dungeon, but it looks like that is one of the tile sets for kind of like regular dungeons. And overall, Necromancer still, I think, the most overpowered class.
This might very well be my last journal. The Knights Penitent have fallen. I hid and listened to the screams as they were torn and devoured by the creatures.
The build I'm running right now is just ridiculous. It's so much fun.
Like the others. Nothing but the blood splatter on the floor.
It just slays everything.
Pray that the feeble sends reinforcements soon.
And when you run out of energy, you have Corpse Explosion, which literally just needs corpses, nothing else. Deal 32% increased damage while you have a barrier active. Does Fortify count as a barrier? You gotta look at that real quick. What's that? Does it say in here, I wonder? Barriers absorb damage from all sources to a specific amount. Let's look at... Maybe it'll define that here. Fortified characters take 10% reduced damage. You become fortified when you have more fortify than your current life total. Okay, so fortify is not like a full-on... like, armor then. Okay, so that's not a barrier. So this is not necessarily helping that much, but that's a lot of damage. I got almost a perfect one too. Let's see, cold damage, damage to close enemies, 2% damage over time, which I don't really have. Cold does nothing for me, but at 7.5 to close enemies, most of the time I'm killing things close up, so I guess I'll use it. I think a net increase on my damage. Oh, that was cool. I really think the Necro is a little overtuned. Like, I've got 12 summons right now. I'm doing ridiculous damage with almost every ability. Like, even my basic attack shoots out 3, like, blades, and, you know, will 2 or 3 shot most enemies. And, like, I think the biggest problem with the Druid is the fact that they don't automatically regenerate their resource. They have to, you know, regenerate it over time. Through attacks. Like, if it auto-generated, I think they'd be in a much better place. But, like, a lot of their attacks are melee, so you're, like, running after enemies to use your melee attack, to get enough energy to use your special attacks. And it just doesn't feel very satisfying. I mean, obviously we haven't gotten into the end game, and probably itemization and legendary aspects are going to be a big part of how these characters play. But, like, everything is percentage damage based. Like, all of our skills are based on your attack power. And it seems like they kind of wanted to make it where, as you're leveling, like, the mechanics that are in the end game are generally, you know, the same as you're leveling. It's not like a whole different game when you get to 60, I don't think. Though there will be the Paragon boards, which of course will probably have a pretty big impact on how you play. But roll to the ghastly depths. Let's check that out. So far, I'm impressed with the variety of the dungeon. Like, there's definitely a very, like, large number of unique tile sets. I should say I'm impressed by the aesthetics, the look of them. The fact that they all have very similar, like, kind of unsatisfying mechanics, a little less so. Like, there's so much backtracking in a lot of these dungeons. Doesn't feel great. I hope there's more variety. I know there's like 120 dungeons or something. I do hope there's more variety as you keep playing.
I need more essence.
Which one is this? Skill costs no resources. Oh, so I can just, like, do this. That's pretty cool. Oh, this is one of those slay all enemies in the ghastly depths. I can't leave any of these guys behind. Where'd they come from? I hope I didn't miss anyone. I didn't see that. Where are these guys coming from? Do a shrine, those are fun. Oh, was that a trapped one? Oh, it's an event? I didn't know there were events inside of the dungeons. That's interesting. Corpse explosion, go! I think the gameplay loop of the Necro, I know it's a little, I think, overtuned, but the actual, like, what you're doing and stuff, it's pretty satisfying. Like, it feels well thought out. I think it's just some of the numbers maybe just a little too crazy. I have no idea what's happening with this event. I'm just murdering everything. And then I got the shrine.
I'm not ready.
Okay, now travel down there. Like it feels very much like Diablo II, where the Necromancer was one of the more balanced characters. Like they're not as crazy as like a Blizzard Sorceress or a Blessed Hammer Paladin, but Corpse Explosion, plus your skeleton, like a Fishymancer, a Skellymancer, could basically solo anything in the game. Maybe not as fast as some of those classes, but I played through all of Normal Nightmare in Hell in Season 2 in Hardcore as a solo self-found Necro, and really didn't have too much trouble. I didn't do it super fast, and if you want to see, I've got the video on the channel. But I did it.
I'm out of essence.
That's another dungeon down. I'm up to 17. What aspect did I get this time? Increases critical strike chance by 5%. In addition, Blood Howl also affects nearby companion. That's a Druid ability. Okay. Cool. Maybe we'll do one more of these. I was trying to get up to at least 20, but I feel like I've got a pretty good grasp on the Necro at this point. I'd really like to get down here, but I don't know if I'm going to get that far. I think I'd have to get down to 20. I need 6 more points, 5 more points. Maybe at like 22, 23. I don't know if that's going to happen tonight, because it does slow down from here. But I think I'll do one more dungeon. And we're going to do Mercy's Reach is another dungeon I have not... We're going to do Mercy's Reach is another dungeon I have not done yet. It is like up here in the top corner of the zone. And yeah, see how this goes. Skeleton. The skeletons are definitely awesome, but Blood Surge continues to be amazing. Like that. And got a couple more legendaries on that last dungeon. Blade and Night Hunters. Oh, my little thing triggered. Travel to the Unsanctified Reliquary. Okay. Oh, that was easy. Like to find them. I'm assuming those guys are completely randomized, but... Yeah. the character I've gotten the furthest with in the beta has been my Sorceress, or Sorcerer in my case. And I definitely think that of the classes I played, she's the Sorcerer is the one I've gotten the furthest. But I think if I was going to rank, like, how good the characters are, I think probably the most powerful, followed by the Sorcerer, Rogue, Barbarian, then Druid. That's my personal, like, tier list as far as, like, if you're just looking for how powerful they are. And of course, this is just from the beta. Obviously, end game is going to be different. This is really, I'd say, ease of leveling and power based on, you know, sub-level 20 performance. Why am I suddenly stuttering like crazy? Oh, I'm hitting my memory. This happened a few times last weekend, and yesterday I didn't run into this at all in like a 2-hour playthrough. Curious why suddenly I'm getting it again. Maybe it's because of all the skeletons. But I really like the Sorcerer too, and I think when the full game comes out, I am probably going to... oh, I gotta go get the box. It's one of those dungeons. I'm probably gonna main the Sorcerer. I feel like I just like the gameplay loop, and in pretty much every Diablo game, I've mained like the wizard, caster, you know, sorcerer kind of class. Like in the original Diablo, maybe not when it first came out. When it first came out, I'm pretty sure I made a warrior first. But in Diablo 2, the source has always been my favorite. It's always been my go-to, like, new starter character. Diablo 3, the wizard, you know, was my favorite. Though I've got, you know, in Diablo 1, 2, and 3, I pretty much played through all of the classes to the end game. But the wizard and sorcerer, you know, were always the ones that I kind of gravitated towards. And even when I replayed Diablo 1 recently, there's a video on the channel about that, showing you how to play it with Devolution X, which is like a mod. It's more like a recreation of the engine, and it lets you play Diablo 1 in high definition, uncapped FPS, like all kinds of stuff. It's the mage that I played through, and I really enjoyed that playthrough. The laser's gonna... Oh, it didn't hit me. Cool. So, I also love teleport, and I want to try to get teleport where it's usable on a shorter cooldown, would be my end goal, I think. Man, this has been a quick dungeon. Is this the end right here, or is it like a corridor before you get to the boss? And basically, my Sorcerer build in the beta was very similar to one of my favorite Diablo 2 Sorceress builds. It's a Hydra Orb build, so if you're curious, if you want to see my level 25, I do have a full playthrough on the channel, and also like just some videos showing my Sorcerer taking some of the dungeons at level 25. I got a challenge. Foul Goat. I haven't really messed at all with like those titles and stuff. That seems a little like... I liked in Diablo 2, you know, you beat the game on different difficulties or different, you know, hardcore or softcore. You get different rewards, different titles, but here, like, you get a million titles. I don't know. Feels a little awkward. Like, feels a little pointless when they give you a reward for literally everything. It's very gamey. It feels very mobile-y. Overall, the game doesn't veer too much into that. Like, I know there's going to be Battle Pass, but they've said it's going to be cosmetics only and not be, like, required in any way. Like, in this dungeon, it's reminding me a bit of,
My burden is too great.
Well, the Act 3 dungeons in Diablo 2. I'm thinking like maybe the sewers and those kind of dungeons. Like the lower Karast, upper Karast, the dungeons in that area. Oh, this is the boss already. I didn't even try it. I've got Bone Spirit. No, let's see. Where's he at? Like that is unsatisfying for a 10-second cooldown. I can't see. I think if you're in those tornadoes. Yeah, looks like the tornadoes caused that. This guy's taking me a little bit longer. Yeah, but he went down too. And I got a new codex, which is deals 15% damage to primary target per lanced enemy necromancer. So if you're using, I think it would be Bone Spear, right? Because that shoots out a lance. So is that the one I'm thinking of, or is it? No, it's probably Blood Lance. Yeah. Bone Spirit seems kind of lackluster. It's 11-second cooldown, consumes all of your essence to conjure a spirit of bone that seeks enemies. On reaching them, explodes for 200 to 250 damage. And all surrounding enemies, damage increased 3% for each point of essence spent casting Bone Spirit. So if you had 100 essence, it would do 300% damage, right? Am I doing that math right? So it would do like 600 damage. But it's on a 10-second cooldown, and it uses your entire essence. Whereas this thing is doing, the Nova is doing 250, and then the secondary one's doing 40% of that, which would be what, like another 80 damage or something. Yeah, like it seems like it would just be better to cast this 3 times than to wait on this little thing. Like, I don't know. It's just, especially the Diablo 2 Bone Spirit was so cool. Like, it was mostly a PvP thing, but... Okay. Well, I think I'm going to end my session with the Necro for tonight. Like, I feel like I've got a pretty good handle on, you know, the main ability. I think I've got a pretty good build when I finally do get the full game. I haven't got to the ultimates, but honestly, the ultimates have been super lackluster. And I don't think I'll be playing with them anyways. Like, unless they give you like an extra ultimate slot, which I would really love to see them do. I just don't really see using most of the ultimates. But yeah, I'm going to end the video here. If you did enjoy this, please feel free to check out some other content. I've got a bunch of stuff on the channel about Diablo 1, Diablo 2, Diablo 3. I've got a bunch of other VR content, retro content, you know, new PC releases. I have a very eclectic taste in gaming, and if you like what I'm doing, please do like, subscribe, and drop me a comment with your thoughts. I would like to hear what you think. Thank you again for watching, everyone, and have a great night.